Hey patrons, it's Queen. How are you doing? And thank you guys for being a patron. So today on our episode of Magical Minutes, Ashley, one of my patrons, asked me to talk about protection magic. So I have done a video about protection magic before, but this is a method that I didn't give. That is very common. I do this all the time. Like every time I have to go and cleanse a house, I do this. This is part of the ritual that I do. And a lot of different people and a lot of different spiritual systems use this same exact method. Some of you may have even heard of it before. So, this is what we do, okay? If we want to protect a house, an apartment, a dorm room, or even a building, what we do is we take salt, regular old salt. It can be table salt. It can be I've seen people use Himalayan sea salt, regular sea salt. It can be really any kind of salt. Okay, so you want to get a great deal of it. The more dependent upon how large the space is. And another thing that I personally do, I get the salt, and I also get frankincense and myrrh. So when you're doing something like this, a cleansing type of protective type of ritual, you generally start from the bottom to the top if it's a house. If it's an apartment, you start from the back to the front. The idea is that you're pushing whatever bad energy is already there out, cleansing the space, and then using the salt to protect the space. So let's say I was going to do a house. I would start in the basement. I would go into the basement and I would sprinkle just a little bit of salt on the threshold of the windowsill and the door. Okay, the threshold of the door, thresholds of every window, every door that's in the basement. And while I was down there, I would burn frankincense and myrrh. Different people like to burn different cleansing agents. This is the one I use because this is the one they use in exorcisms. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, that's the strong stuff. I'm going to use that. So frankincense and myrrh, and I smoke out the entire basement. Just saying prayers, asking the angels and the ancestors to come and cleanse out the energy, calling forward goddess, that kind of thing. And you just walk through whatever that space is, and from the back of the basement all the way to the front. And then you continue up the steps because you're pushing the bad energy out. Now, on the top floor, the window should already be open before you begin, okay? So then you walk up the steps with it and you do it along the way. You stop in the living room, you salt the windows, you salt the doors, the kitchen, the dining room, every room that you pass on that second layer, you do the same thing and you smoke it out with that frankincense and myrrh. And then you continue to climb if there's a third story to the place or whatever the case is. You go all the way up, hitting every floor, every door, and every window. And the doors don't have to be, we don't always do, it depends on the door, especially if you have like a room that has a lot of bad energy in it, we would definitely do that door. Some people just do the outer doors and outer windows. So it's really up to you how you want to do that. If I come into a home, I generally will do the outer doors and the outer windows, but if there's a room that got funky energy, I'll definitely salt that room too. And smoke out every single crevice, every room, every space, every closet, everywhere. Get that frankincense and myrrh all through there. And if that window is open, theoretically speaking, you're pushing out the bad energy with the smoke. Okay? So now you've pushed out any bad energy, any bad spirits that are in, unless there's something in there that's really, really stubborn. I mean, seriously stubborn, like demonic stubborn. Most things from just one cleansing will be more than enough. The window is open, all that energy goes right out the window. Now, let's say that you do this and the energy is better, but it's not perfect. You still think that something ain't right. You repeat this ritual. Some people will repeat this ritual using sage. I always use frankincense and myrrh when it's something evil, negative, or heavy, And some people will repeat the ritual. I always repeat it until the energy has lifted. Sometimes it takes another 1 or 2 times. You know, it depends on how stubborn the energy is of whatever is going on in the house. And some places, like I said, are easier than others. If you have a place, for example, where a lot of negativity, a lot of murder, for example, may have happened, or like a prison where a lot of violence happens, it may be more difficult to get that energy to be calm and at peace than it would be a building, for example, that was built on pretty neutral land and was brand new. You wouldn't have that same heavy energy in the new modern building that has had, nothing occur, as you would in a situation where, it's a violent place or a murderous place or something like that. So it all depends on that. So that's how that's one of the most common, if you Google it or if you read about it, salt is one of the most common things that is used for protection and used in protective magic. And there's black salt, that you can use white salt. There's all kind of things you can research. But just regular old table salt is enough to cleanse and protect your space. And the frankincense and myrrh, the great thing about it is that the frankincense calls in angelic energy, and the myrrh shoos away negative energy. So it's like a 1-2 punch. So that's why I like it, because I feel like, on top of chasing out the bad energy, the frankincense is leaving behind that good, positive energy. And some people repeat this ritual once a year just to keep, their home cleansed. I personally, because I do work, if you're somebody who's a spiritual person and you're doing, meditations all the time, you're doing readings all the time, if you're doing stuff like that, magic, then you more than likely really want to cleanse your space more frequently. I have a tendency to cleanse the space daily because I do so much work. But if you don't do a lot of stuff like that, if it's just a regular old house and, y'all just doing regular old stuff, then once a month, once a month, once a year, you will be able to gauge based on the energy that's coming into your home. If it's not a place that usually has bad energy, once a year will be enough. If you have some issues here and there, every 3 months. You can kind of gauge it based on your situation. Everybody's situation is going to be totally different. Okay? All right, guys. So remember, if you have something else you want me to do a video on, please shoot me a message and I will be so happy to hook you up. All right? See y'all later.